Thank you, Professor C. Rajkumarji, Vice Chancellor of the University, for having me here. Professor Patnaik, Registrar of the University, and on the dais, Professor Upasna Mahanta, Professor Meenakshi Tomar, Dr. Gargi Bharadwaj, the faculty, staff, and students. It's an absolute delight for me to be here amongst you all on this occasion when the university has hosted a 3-day annual national convention on women in India, and I am here to conclude it. I am happy to go through your declaration. Well, I also learned and I also heard the other speakers talk about the different sessions which were held during this 3-day convention, and lots of important ideas were discussed. Very pivotal arguments were made on how to secure a gender-just society. When I am here today speaking on this theme towards an inclusive future and a gender-just world, I feel it's not a distant dream, it's not a distant goal for a country like ours. And I say this in my capacity as a member of parliament, in my capacity as a 3-term member of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's Council of Ministers. I've very closely seen the functioning of my government. And I say it with immense pride that inclusivity is at the heart of the functioning of Prime Minister Narendra Modi's government today. When we, in the 11 years of our government, this is the 3rd tenure, when we promote the ideas of last mile saturation of our schemes, when we lay emphasis on women-led development, it is our commitment towards the ideas of inclusivity. In these past 11 years, the scale and the speed at which we work towards ensuring the basic amenities to a large section of our population which is still deprived, it's absolutely unmatched by any other country. And we have been able to bring a qualitative change in the life of our people. And you would be happy to know that the biggest beneficiary of all the schemes, the pro-poor welfare schemes which Modi government is known for, has been the women of this country. When I look at you, I see young girls and boys from fairly privileged backgrounds. But there is a large section of women in this country. Our population is huge. We're 142 crore people. And half of it is women. So there's a huge population of our women who are still struggling for their basics. So when our government took over, we decided that we're going to be inclusive in our governance approach. And when we started launching one after the other the pro-poor welfare schemes, they happen to touch the lives of our women the most. Yes, there are women in this country who've been deprived in 70 years, 75 years of our independence, of a bank account, of a toilet, of a house, of an electricity connection, of clean drinking water, of clean cooking fuel, of opportunities to grow as an entrepreneur, to earn an income for themselves. And one by one, the schemes that we launched happen to benefit our women, and these schemes were able to make that qualitative change. This year, when the budget was presented as part of our convention, before the budget, every year the finance minister will place the economic survey in the house. So when the economic survey was placed by the finance minister, there were some very interesting revelations made. And one such revelation I would like to quote to you was regarding the female labor force participation rate, which has nearly doubled in the last 7 years. You would be happy to know the economic survey says that the female labor force participation rate, which used to be 23.3% in the year 2017-18, has risen to 41.7% in the year 2023-24. Today, India is being lauded as the 3rd startup ecosystem in the world after US and China. If I think of the times before 2016 when we started nurturing the Startup India mission, there were barely few hundred startups, maybe less than that. But today, we have a large number of startups. And the economic survey also reveals that there is a huge surge in the startups led by women entrepreneurs. More than 73,000 startups recognized under India's startup mission are actually led by women entrepreneurs. And it goes to say that the opportunities that government provided, the initiatives that Government of India took to enhance access to credit, provide marketing support, skill development support, and so many other things to build up that women entrepreneurship has yielded very fruitful outcomes. And that can be seen in the revelations made in the economic survey. Ours is a government which is guided by the words of Babasaheb Bhimrao Ambedkar, who once said that the progress of a community can be measured by the progress of the women. And that's when we decided that we will adopt both a top-down and a bottom-up approach. So while we rolled out a number of pro-poor welfare schemes which largely benefited the women of this country, we empowered them, those who are living in the lower rungs of the society, but we also ensured that women get their right share in the highest level of decision making in the country. And that's when we decided to get the much awaited historic Women's Reservation Bill passed by both the houses of the Parliament unanimously. That's the kind of commitment with which we are working today for this country. My dear friends, there have been so many efforts that government has made in all the sectors. I come from the Ministry of Health and Family Welfare. My ministry has rolled out so many schemes. And again, these are benefiting the most underprivileged women. And today, I'm very proud to say that women who did not have access to good maternal health care, today, with the kind of facilities we have provided under various schemes of my ministry, in India, we've been able to bring down our maternal mortalities and infant mortalities at a rate much faster than the global rate of decline. That's the kind of progress we have made. We've enhanced our institutional deliveries from 61% in the year 2014-15 when our government took over, and now it is 97%. That's the kind of progress we have made, and this shows the kind of commitment we have for the fairer sex, for our women. And I'm today in Haryana. We started a big campaign here to save the girl child, to educate the girl child, the Beti Bachao, Beti Padhao Abhiyan. Just in the month of January, we celebrated the 10th anniversary. And I very proudly state that because of the consistent efforts that we made over the years, the sex ratio at birth, which used to be 898 in the year 2015-16, is today 930. That's the kind of commitment government has. So this is how we are working to take this country forward. Today it's a matter of pride for all of us that we have, in a country like ours, we have women role models in every sector, be it politics, be it sports, science, business, media, judiciary, every sector. No sector is untouched. You may have watched the Republic Day parade on the 75th year of independence, the 75th Republic Day. And for the first time ever, we had an all-women tri-service contingent on the Kartavya Path. We had the French president sitting with our Prime Minister, who was absolutely mesmerized looking at a Nari Shakti. That's the kind of display of Nari Shakti we have in India today. And who could be a much bigger example for us of inclusivity than our own Honorable President of India, Srimati Draupadi Murmu ji, who's not just a woman, but she happens to come from the most indigenous scheduled tribes of India. That's the biggest example of inclusivity we have in our country today. So we are running the country in a different era. And inclusivity is the mantra of this government. Today, I see very young and bright faces in front of me. The girls here, when I look at you, I see empowered women who are ready to shape the world. The country has underwent tremendous transformation over these years, but I still would say that each one of you would have your own share of challenges. I'm also here in front of you. It's been 15 years of my political career. And although I'm sitting in Government of India, but it's not that I haven't had my share of struggles and challenges. So when you embark on your careers, you will also have those systemic barriers to face. You will also have to face those stereotypes, those biases. But we don't have to be afraid of these things, because I personally believe these things make us even stronger. And I want to say one thing to the girls here. When you achieve something, it's not your individual triumph. It is the collective triumph of the entire women community. This year's International Women's Day 2025 theme is Accelerate Action. So how do we accelerate action? It all begins with us. Everybody else comes later. Media, government, judiciary, administration, everybody comes later. It all begins with us. My emancipation, my empowerment, everything is my responsibility. So I have to consider myself valuable. I have to consider every other woman valuable and powerful. So when I say accelerate action, it has to begin with you. You have to start calling out those stereotypes, questioning those biases, standing up for every other woman, celebrating other women's success, and sharing your knowledge and experiences with other women. That's how we have to make our women community strong. And I truly believe it's powerful. It works. So all of you, my only advice to you is never stop believing in yourself. Whether or not anybody else believes, you have to continue to believe in yourself. And that's the whole spirit of celebrating International Women's Day. Today, more and more institutions are celebrating, are observing this important day, spreading awareness about the whole idea of valuing women and understanding their unique strengths. But at the end of the day, it's all about us. And we as an individual must always believe in ourselves. That's the most important thing. With this, I once again thank O.P. Jindal University, your Vice Chancellor, and all of you for having me here and giving me a patient hearing. Thank you very much.